Right. Now let's share this link.
Do 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 do. Bum 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 bum.
Ass bum, ass bum, ass bum, ass bum bum. Hello, everyone.
Do 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 do.
Talking about WrestleDream.
Wrestling Dream.
Yeah,
Wrestle Dream.
what I'm saying, man? Yeah. Then I'm gonna put that in the server. Okay. We are live, everyone. We are going to
Hello.
be reviewing the latest pay-per-view event from All Elite Wrestling, which is called WrestleDream. The first time... Oh, just got to get that on screen. There we go. The first time that they have done this event, it is a tribute to the late, great Antonio Inoki. And it is an additional pay-per-view in their yearly calendar. I think I was echoing there. It is an additional pay-per-view in their yearly calendar. And, yeah. So, yeah, here to do that. And we're going to do it live. Do it live! Do it live!
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
now, before we get into reviewing the show, this, in terms of our predictions, and, you know, we do our predictions to see who, like, retains the titles and whatnot. The difference between us in this predictions was 0.5 point.
Oh, wow.
Yep. One of us got 13 points, one of us got 13.5 points. And the person who won was me by 0.5 point.
God damn it.
Mm-hmm.
I knew it was close.
You got very close. You got very close. Oh, yeah, I kicked out at 2.99999.
And then quickly rolled up.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So, anyway, now that that's out of the way, I guess initial thoughts on this pay-per-view.
I thought this was a pretty darn good show. I think the majority of matches were very of high caliber. I think that a lot of matches really delivered. I think, as usual, the show is just too long. 4 hours is just too long for a main pay per view. And there's a couple matches that just should have been on Dynamite over the next couple of weeks. But in terms of the actual quality of what we actually got, it was very, very, very good. Some really standout matches. One really, truly match of the year contender, not just for the company, but for wrestling this year in general. And surprisingly, there were actually a couple of angles that I wasn't expecting. I was expecting one, maybe, but another I was not. But yeah, overall, I thought this was a really, really fun, entertaining wrestling-based show.
Yep. I don't think it quite had the same like crazy atmosphere that All Out had, because that had the Chicago crowd, which really carried it consistently. But in terms of as a wrestling show, it was damn good. Damn good show. Very long, and the pre-show was an hour and a half, which is absolutely stupendous. Like it's unbelievable that the 0 hour went more than an hour. It went an hour and a half, which is just crazy. I mean, I guess technically the first half an hour is just hyping up the main card, but the actual entire 0 hour itself was full of matches. So it was basically like an episode of Rampage, but without the ad breaks.
Mm-hmm.
It was insane. You had more wrestling on the 0 hour than you did on like your average episode of Raw.
Yeah.
Like actually crazy. But yeah, I really liked the show. I was tentatively concerned about it potentially watering down the speciality of the pay-per-view system, but I think they got away with it. I think they pushed it just far enough to where it still feels special, especially
Yeah.
because this company is able to do that. It's able to really, really. I mean, whenever you watch an MJF press conference, he always goes on about how this company goes above and beyond for the fans, and they really do.
Yeah.
It kind of has that same mindset that ECW had, except ECW was very underfunded, if not in massive amounts of debt because of Paul Heyman and the expense of running the company without making the money, whereas AEW is massively funded and can actually afford to do this. Hang on, I'm just going to crack open a cold one with the boys. Oh, listen to that.
Mm.
It's kombucha, by the way. It's not alcohol. I don't drink alcohol. I'm straight edge, which means I'm better than you.
And you know it.
But yeah, this was a damn good show. Real good stuff, and there are some matches in here which I fucking loved. I mean, it's probably no surprise which ones they are because they're kind of like the major
No.
singles matches that were advertised. But Jesus Christ, some of these matches were just woo! Oh my goodness. Anyway, so we've got a long way to go. We've got 14 matches to talk about, which is unbelievable. So we probably should get on with it, right?
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess we shall.
All right. So let's start 0 hour. Just like All Out, we had an Athena tag match, but we also this time it was a bit different because it was an 8-person mixed tag team match, which
Yeah, it was a very, very big match.
very unique match. I can't remember the last time I ever saw a match that was exactly stipulated like this. It's a very interesting.
Mm. This very much felt like let's try and get as much people on the card as possible, as they tend to do
Yeah.
with the 0 hour,
Well,
like
I mean,
especially of late.
well, the thing is with this match is it's both a feud from Ring of Honor and also a feud
Yeah.
from Collision as well. And then it just also happens to have Satoshi Kojima in it as well. He just happens to be there.
Yeah. That's what I feel like the last two pay-per-views have been a lot of Ring of Honor based matches in the pre-show, which is not a terrible idea,
On the main
but
show
in
too.
terms of like, yeah. Oh, you know, yeah, that's true. But I guess I can understand that in terms of trying to sell the pay-per-view of like you can expect great matches like this and this if you buy the pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Anyway.
but it's a shame people like Keith Lee aren't on the main card because Keith Lee is great.
Oh yeah, it's a very it's this roster is just so unbelievably stacked. It's just
Yeah.
insane. Oh, I will say though, before we dive right into this match, I did like that detail of when Tony Khan was paying tribute to Antonio Inoki and talking to his grandchildren. They shot to a thing of Christian Cage in the back watching on.
Yeah.
then-
Yeah, that was great.
And then at
That's just yeah.
the press conference, he said they lost their grandfather.
Mm.
Yep. Anyway, so from a storyline perspective, Athena and Billy Starks have like this interesting dynamic where she's a heel and Billy Starks is a babyface, but Athena's like her.
Yeah, I was
coach.
about to ask. I was about to ask is like Athena now a face because she's on the face team?
No, she's not.
No, that's very strange because
No,
her teaming with Keith Lee, the like biggest baby face, like lovable person ever, is
yeah.
very strange.
Nah, so what it is basic. She's kind of a tweener. So the what they're doing on Ring of Honor is that she is kind of like Billy Stark's coach. She's like a drill sergeant, and
Right.
she's been like unfairly harsh on her. And Billy Starks is very naive and doesn't realize she's being abused. And so there's like they did like an angle on Ring of Honor where it was Billy Starks and it was who's that backstage interviewer? Lexi Nair, that's the one. Billy Starks and Lexi Nair were doing a whole bunch of drills and exercises and like they had to do a bunch of promos on or whatever. It was like practice or for something. And Athena was basically just giving everything to Lexi Nair. She's like, you have graduated and you have failed. So yeah, that's kind of what they're going for, and they're basically like an odd couple tag team. I guess you could say she's not a full-on heel though, Athena.
No, it doesn't seem like that anymore.
But
anyway.
she is an asshole. That's for damn sure. She is an asshole. I think she can get away with being on the babyface team because the storyline she is currently in, it involves a lot of comedy. It's a bit like when Sami Zayn was being gaslighted in the Bloodline. Not quite on that level. Okay. Not quite on that level, but there is a similarity in the sense that you have a bunch of heels acting like babyfaces tricking a babyface who is too naive to understand that they're being manipulated.
Right, okay.
That's kind of what the deal is. And then also
like you said, also Kojima's there.
Yeah, the other feud is something that's been built up on Ring of Honor and Collision is that Keith Lee and Shane Taylor are two big beefy boys that are very much like they're like...
getting Shane Taylor on two big shows in a row, is a nice little way to build like, a reputation, Yeah. After his match with Samoa Joe last month.
Well, what this is doing is that it's by having Shane Taylor in there, you get a match with Keith Lee and Shane Taylor, which is kind of like two sort of palindrome Pokemon, if you get what I mean. They're like the same type.
Mm-hmm.
And then because of that, it then, by extension, it features Lee Moriarty, who's a young guy who's going to be a big name in the future.
Yeah.
So that was effective. And then you also have Mercedes Martinez and Diamante, who have been a heel tag team on Collision recently.
Right.
So yeah, it's an interesting dynamic, really. Because
it is, yeah.
Because like Shane Taylor is also a tweener as well, because he had a match with Samoa Joe on the last pay-per-view, and he was very much more so the babyface in that match.
He was, yeah.
So yeah, I think on the Ring of Honor brand, they're doing a whole bunch of quite, creative stuff because they don't have any really limits. They can just sort of do whatever they want. And that's why you're seeing all these sort of, I guess, unique dynamics that are different to what you get on AEW. But yeah, I thought the match was fine. It was sort of just like a fun little...
Yeah, I don't have that much to say on it, really.
Fun little 5-minute wrestling match, but the thing that it achieved is it showcased these characters, I guess you could say, and it...
Yeah, you could say that, yeah. For what they, to put them on the card.
Yeah, but I guess it's one of those matches where you would get the most out of it if you've been watching all of the shows.
Yeah, which I don't have time for, unfortunately.
Yeah,
but I guess just don't have the time.
Like if this was on the main card, that wouldn't have worked because it's not the AEW audience. But because it's on the 0 hour, it kind of fits better.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, no. I thought it served its purpose and it was short. They booked it well.
But, it was. Yes.
Just under 6 minutes. And gave Keith Lee a match, which is always a good thing.
Mm-hmm. Yes, indeed.
Yeah. Anyway, so I guess we should move on to the next one.
Yes, I guess. I don't really have that much to say about the pre-show matches anyway. So
I do think watching the end of the match is so weird. Just my brain calculating the connections made here. That you have Billy Stark standing next to Kojima, like holding their hands up to get this so.
Or next to Keith Lee and Lee Moriarty. And
it's such a weird like mix of people. It's so strange.
Very much. Yeah. This one, like, let's get them all on the card as much as possible.
Yeah. Is your screen grey? No, it's not. It's all good. Okay. Just checking.
Oh, am I grey? Grey in the face?
Yeah, you might just want to like, because every time I change the screen, it like I can't see if it is or not. So just give the stream a quick check.
Yeah.
I think it should be okay.
Yep.
Is it fine?
Yep, it's all fine. Yeah,
All
I
right,
can see
great.
it. It's all good.
No worries. So anyway, after this, we had a match between Claudio Castagnoli and Josh Barnett, who is an MMA fighter signed for Bellator, who can also wrestle.
Yes, he is. Yeah, it's very strange connection here.
Yes, and they told I think the key here to telling the story they were doing is having Jon Moxley on commentary to kind of explain why this match exists was really helpful.
Yes, and that's the sort of theme of the night with Blackpool Combat Club matches tonight.
Well, because Jon Moxley had that concussion, so he couldn't wrestle on the show.
Yeah. But he was, let's be honest, he was fucking amazing at commentary all night.
Oh yeah.
One of the fucking highlights to me.
Oh yeah, there was some funny lines, man.
Oh yeah, he was absolutely entertaining.
I remember after this match, he said, "We gave you this shit for free."
Well, then he said something similar later. He was like, "We get to see it for free and watch this." I think that was during the Danielson match.
Yeah,
which is no surprise.
Yeah, he was a wild animal as he always is.
He was. I think whenever he's on a commentary when he's a bit more free to just sort of say what he wants, you get a lot more of who he kind of is, which is quite fun.
He was also like screaming into the microphone and really testing its limits as well.
Well, at times he had to cover the mic up, which is say, "Fuck him" or whatever, like shit like that, when he was just absolutely just berating either his teammates or the opponents. It was just quite fun. It's quite funny.
Yep. Yeah. So anyway, this was a very shoot-based submission style match with a few judo throws in there.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely would say this was a lot better than the MMA rules match from SummerSlam. I'll say that much.
I mean, that's most things are. So
yeah,
that's not really a high bar.
But yeah, this was definitely a match that I think it's an acquired taste. It's not for everyone.
Yeah, one person I think in the YouTube chat said that this is like two drunk uncles fighting. So,
well, I mean, Josh Barnett does look like an uncle, for sure. It does look like a bar fight, doesn't it? But without the broken glass. Yeah, I think the problem with this match is it gets so overshadowed by the actual shoot style match that's on the main card. That's like a 10,000 times better.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I think a lot of people wouldn't. I think the main thing with this match is that Josh Barnett's not the kind of guy that runs the ropes, and that is very different. No. There's a very different style of performance to what you're used to seeing in pro wrestling, and it makes it's a little bit, how do I say it? It is a bit of a slug fight for the whole thing. But yeah, it was physical at the very least.
It certainly was.
It's certainly physical.
I like how after Claudio did the big swing, Jon Moxley was like, "Look, man, the big swing is no joke."
Well, to be fair, there was that one Dynamite where Chris Jericho tapped out to the swing.
He did. I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, the highlight of this match was Jon Moxley's commentary. It made it so worth it.
Mm-hmm. It's very fun.
He was so fucking hilarious. The fact that they brought out JR to call this match and JR barely said anything because Moxley was just talking over him the whole time. It was like, you could basically sum it up with like, "Holy shit, this thing fucking rules!" Damn right.
Holy shit, man.
Yeah. Yeah, so I don't have much to say about this.
No.
The promo after was interesting.
Mm.
I mean, it was definitely like a "You've earned my respect" promo, which we've seen many
Yeah.
times before. And yeah, I don't have much more to add on it.
No, not really.
So then after that, we have a match between Luchasaurus and Nick Wayne. This is kind of like a preliminary. The friends of the other main event match are fighting. So obviously it's Christian's friend Luchasaurus versus Darby's friend Nick Wayne, and it's quite a unique pairing because you've got Luchasaurus, who's absolutely gigantic and massive, and Nick Wayne, who's a skinny 18-year-old.
Yes, very much so.
It looks like he's never eaten a chicken breast in his life. With Nick Wayne's
Very
mom,
much of like, it's like he reminds me a lot of Will Ospreay like 5 years ago.
yeah, that's
He has
for
that
sure.
same sort of look and like physique at the moment.
Well, he looks like an American Will Ospreay.
Yeah, he pretty much is at this point
Yeah,
in terms of like how he wrestles.
yeah. It's so weird because he looks like the kind of guy that would be really into watching football. Like, and I mean association football, not American football.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
he would probably be like the kind of he probably, if you ask him about it, he'd probably say so like, oh, I played soccer at school. Like, it would just be so weird to hear him say that. But anyway, Nick Wayne's mum was
He
at
does look.
ringside.
He does really look British in terms of like his look, which I guess that's just because he does just look like Osprey to me.
Well, my friend who got married this year, his younger brother, who's like 17, looks exactly like Nick Wayne and Will Ospreay. He's got the exact same look, and he's half British.
Mm.
And we were at the reception. Everyone was, apart from me, obviously, but everyone was like drinking, or at least the 18 pluses were. And there was like a big dance floor thing, and he was standing in the middle of the dance floor watching the football on his phone.
Oh my god.
I went up to his mum and I was like, "Your boy does not stop watching football," and she's like, "I know. He's supposed to be a groomsman, and he's watching the bloody football."
That reminds me of like a joke during an episode of Friends where it's they're at a funeral and Joey's watching like a baseball game on the radio, and then everybody from the funeral starts listening to it, including the dad of the like family of like their nans died, and like the dad of the family's watching is like, oh, now I'm depressed even more than I was before. It's honestly so funny. It's so
Now,
fucking hilarious.
this match, in hindsight, we didn't know it at the time, but this match was setting up an angle at the end of the show.
Yes, quite an unexpected one, really. I would not have guessed this would have happened. But
because
yeah,
by having Nick
we'll
Wayne lose to Luchasaurus, it further cements his frustration.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. That's it. Like him losing him for what they wanted to do. Yeah, it makes complete sense.
Because like, even though he is like quite a big, like he is quite a featured star, Nick Wayne, I'm pretty certain, has lost every match he's had so far on AEW. I'm pretty sure
because they're dry. It's losing with purpose, which is something that I feel like it's something that should be valued. When you're losing and it has a purpose behind it and it's not meaningless, then yeah, it can garner great results, which I think they have done with this.
Yeah, and also it's utilizing one of the storylines they were forced into by AR Fox's not being able to go to London, and by doing that, they've created a rift between Nick and Darby Allin.
And it seems like they're going to play on their sort of history together. So I guess we will see.
Yeah, but I thought this was a fun, short 5-minute squash, and it served its purpose for
It's
setting
giving
up.
Luchasaurus something because obviously recently losing the TNT Championship, he needs to obviously build him back up at some point.
Yeah,
But yeah, everything around Christian right now is gold. So yeah, this was a great setup for later.
I think there's a lot of stuff going on at AEW right now that's really fucking good. Like a lot of character work it's like there's been great wrestling on AEW since day one, but at the moment there's a lot of really great character work and it's noticeable.
Yeah, and it's sort of like that's the sort of thing with AEW. I think in the last couple of months that they've been trying to build a lot more characters on a consistent manner.
Well,
And
I
right
think there's
now we are seeing the rewards of that.
I think there's a couple of reasons for that. Number one, by adding 2 hours of Collision, it gives you more time to develop characters
Yes,
every
definitely,
week.
yeah.
And number two, the success of things like CM Punk vs MJF, the Elite and Hangman, the Bloodline, Judgment Day, MJF, Adam Cole, when that stuff is so good and it's very clearly the most successful stuff in wrestling at the moment, it incentivizes the companies to want to do more of it. And I've noticed very specifically this year, there's been far more of that on AEW. There's been way more character work.
Yes, definitely.
Not that there wasn't before, but a lot of it was very long term, and it was kind of we will get like we will do these little character beats over a course of time. You know, like you know Jack Perry's development from day one to sort of up to the heel turn, for example. Like that was all very slowly foreshadowed. Or like Wardlow turning on MJF is the same thing. It was like slowly drip fed.
Yeah, definitely.
But now what they're doing, because they have 2 extra hours, is they're doing much more meatier character developed feuds that are short term, or at least they are less spaced out. And I think it's really working for them.
Yeah, I definitely would say so.
So yeah, this match being on the 0 hour is almost like a little tease for the main event. It was a really smart move. A little
Definitely.
a little 5 minute squash match to really cement Nick Wayne's frustration.
Yeah, definitely would say so.
Yep. And then the main event of 0 hour, just like the last pay-per-view, was main evented by the Acclaimed. It was.
Yeah.
The Acclaimed and Billy Gunn, also known as Daddy Ass, with a 6-man tag team match for Trios titles, against the Mighty Don't Kneel, TMDK, Bad Dude Tito, Mikey Nichols, and Shane Haste, also known as Slapjack.
Slapjack.
Old slappers. I actually, thinking about it, oh no, yeah, Mia Yim is too. I was going to say the only ones from Retribution left in the company are it's Dominic Dijakovic and it's Mia Yim. They're the only ones that are left. But Mia Yim actually got released and then brought back, didn't she?
Yes. Divakovic is the only one who's sort of stayed there since.
Yeah. He's
without
on the
getting fired. Yes, he is.
Yeah, because
he's very much a very unique gimmick, that's for sure.
Because Mustafa Ali and Mace, also known as Marseille, are both gone. And obviously Mercedes Martinez is an AEW. And then you've got Slapjack, who was here in this match. Shane Haste. I think that was all of them from memory, unless you count all the extras, but I don't count those.
And you said Ali as well, yeah.
Yeah, I did.
Already. Yeah, very. Yeah.
Anyway, so
he deserved better.
Oh yeah, he really did. So, yeah, I'll let you start with this one because you're a big Acclaimed fan.
It's very strange right now. I just don't have that much to say about Acclaimed. It kind of feels like they've been off TV a lot or not doing anything of real significance, which is kind of annoying.
They had that
because
really
the
good.
Acclaimed are really good.
They had that really good storyline where Billy Gunn thought he was going to retire, and then he unretired.
Yeah, that stuff was like really good. and their win was really good. But again, much like a lot of stuff AEW does when teams or anybody sort of wins a title, there seems to be like a lack of follow up. That's sort of their issue right now. A lot of times, like they're sort of coasting, the sort of spinning wheels with the Acclaimed was a stranger. Like they're not putting them right into another feud, to keep the momentum going.
Mm.
It's very strange. So I don't have that much to say about this match. Like it was absolutely fine. Acclaimed are fun in the ring. They're very charismatic. Yeah.
I was collecting my DoorDash food while this match was going on, so I did see it was the match I saw the least of.
Yeah. Yeah. I just want them to do more stuff. The Acclaim, because they're a very sports entertainment gimmick.
Max Caster did get something fun to do on Dynamite. I will say that with MJF, that was a nice little cameo.
I saw that clip on Twitter. Yeah, they're being in the same room. Yeah.
Yeah. Max Caster's got
Yeah,
a massive.
I just want want them to do more. Really, I want them to actually be doing some stuff.
Imagine if oh, I don't know. I feel like there's something because they had Max Caster do that one little thing with MJF. I feel like you could get them if the Acclaimed somehow got involved in that MJF Adam Cole thing. I think that could produce a lot of good television.
That could be fun.
Yeah, I would love to see Max Caster and Anthony Bowens versus MJF and Adam Cole. I think that would slap.
Yeah, that would be fun.
That would be so entertaining.
Yeah. Other than that, I don't really have that much to say about this match.
Yeah, it was what it was.
Yeah, it was.
At least this one didn't have Dennis Rodman like making the referee look like an idiot. Like the last pay-per-view.
I just noticed that Max is like growing his hair out a lot more. It's a lot more fluffier than it usually is.
Yeah, he is.
That's what I noticed.
I wonder why. So yeah, that's the 0 hour. Yeah, I guess the major takeaway I have from this is that I think the Luchasaurus Nick Wayne match was well placed. It was a nicely placed bit of storytelling for the main show. Apart from that, it was fine. It was a fine 0 hour. It would function as an episode of Rampage, I guess.
I mean, yeah, that's kind of how I sum it up, I guess.
Yeah. Anyway, so now we move on to the main card, which is always when this is what really counts. I think this is what.
Oh yeah,
because this is the stuff they actually put a lot of effort into. For the most part, we open WrestleDream with the handicap match for the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Championship. Obviously, because Adam Cole got injured on Grand Slam. Broke 3 bones in his leg. It looked nasty. And so you had MJF to have to defend it against the Righteous of Dutch and Vincent. And it started with, obviously on Dynamite the previous week they showed they had the Devil attack Jay White, but that's probably going to be more to do with the Full Gear feud going forward. But MJF addressed it, saying it wasn't him, claiming it wasn't him, and then he did like basically a big promo shitting all over the Righteous in the way he does it. And we got this very unique handicap match that was very sports entertaining. I had a lot of fun with this match.
It was a fun opener. I think opening the show with this, was very smart.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there was a really good stuff. Again, the promo sets up what he wants the crowd to react to, and throughout the match, they're building towards these things. And I think it just shows the sort of power, like Max said in the press conference, he has this sort of power to like not do anything, yet garner such huge reactions. It's
Yep.
like, and it makes the matches a lot more just entertaining in terms of like just getting reactions. It's
This
just very fun.
this Ring of Honor tag title run has been a very unique chapter for MJF's world title reign, hasn't it?
It has, yeah, definitely.
It's
So it's
it's
not something I would have ever expected from his reign.
it's one of the most left field ideas I've ever seen wrestling do, honestly. It's really, really out
Mm,
there. He's made it super entertaining.
he has, definitely. He's played a big part in it being like extremely over.
Yeah. But yeah, this was a huge showcase for the righteous, like who've seemed to just come out of nowhere recently.
They have, yeah.
And yeah, this match had all the fun sports entertainment stuff that you get in MJF, these kind of MJF matches, where he's like, I'm gonna body slam the big man, like Hulk Hogan, brother, and then the sportsmanship, poke in the eye. And yeah, there was a bunch of fun moments in this match. But it was also like a wrestling match as well. It wasn't just all jokes, there was some actually really good stuff within as well. And then
Yeah, definitely.
I loved how when MJF won the match, he put his feet on the ropes. So like he kind of protected the tag team because he won a handicap match, and he kind of protected
Yeah,
them
exactly, yeah.
by cheating to win, basically.
Yeah, which is in line with his character. So that's fine. He's still a scumbag. He's
Yeah,
just not a scumbag.
yeah.
It's something that I think they've done really well in terms of making him a face, because he is, but he's still in line with what character he is, which I
Yeah,
think is something that wrestling right now is something that is evolved in that way, where keeping a character consistent, but they are received differently is, something that I really appreciate at the moment with MJF.
yeah. It's almost because when he used to put the diamond ring on, it was very much like, haha, guess what? I'm gonna do this, and the ref's not looking, and the crowd would boo. It was very old school heel. Whereas now, it almost reminds me of like Eddie Guerrero in his latter years when he would cheat, but he was a babyface, and
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
crowd would cheer
it's
him.
that same vein, really. Yeah,
The crowd
definitely.
would cheer him, and I think one of my favorite things is that the referee went to check. I think the referee went to check if and he basically asked the crowd if MJF cheated, and the crowd said no. Like
Yeah,
they lied to the referee. That was
That's
fucking
fun. That
great.
is fun.
Yeah, because they're going along with it because he's their scumbag. So fun. Yeah, I mean MJF is a 5-tool player. He can do anything. He's so good.
Absolutely, he's very talented.
Yeah. So yeah, I think for what this match was, I think it definitely succeeded at what it was trying to do. It was a very, very
Definitely.
fun match. It still would have
Considering
been
it
fun
was
as a
probably like only like made in the last like week or so, considering Cole's injury. So yeah.
yeah. It probably still would have been fun without Cole there, but because he wasn't there, they had to get creative with it and figure out something else, and it worked. And I love that it accidentally adds, well, not accidentally, but unintentionally adds a layer to this character that was not intended. In that
No, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Mm.
MJF knows how much these belts mean to Adam Cole, so he wants to defend them and win the match because he doesn't want to let him down. He wants to bring that belt back to Adam Cole.
Yeah, definitely. And it's going to be when he eventually does lose it in these I'd imagine, next couple weeks, possibly to the Bullet Club Gold. I actually think that'd be quite interesting if he was to lose it to them,
Mm,
like lose to the Guns maybe, and have them maybe show up in Ring of Honor for a little bit.
yeah,
That would actually be quite interesting as a way to go with it, because you can play the fact when Cole does get back, there's an element of MGF feeling like he's let him down, which I think would be quite interesting. Especially by that time, MGF he probably won't be world champion at that point, because I imagine he's going to lose it after the turn of the year and when Cole gets back. There's a
Mm.
lot of things they could go with Max at this point.
Yeah, it's given them an interesting hand to deal with, really.
Yeah, I'm very curious how they're going to end the year off with Max. It's something that we've kind of been building towards since he won the title
It was
and
even
sort of
before that.
2024.
It was even
Yeah.
before that. But it was really, I would say, it started around the CM Punk feud.
Yeah, he has been going on this very long journey, I think, ever since that feud.
Well, during that feud, he was talking about how he was going to go to main event WrestleMania. That was one of the
Yeah.
things he discussed and said, when my contract is up in 2024, I'm going to main event WrestleMania. It's ironic because CM Punk said, well, you can go there and I'll stay here, but it seems like that's the opposite's going to happen. Although I guess if CM Punk's going to get his WrestleMania main event, it's going to be night 1, let's be honest. It's not going to be night 2.
Nope, it won't.
Yeah. Well, at least not in the foreseeable future. I mean, I could see down the line CM Punk versus Roman Reigns would be a night 2 WrestleMania worthy match, but will they actually do that? I don't know. Anyway, that's speculating as if he's going to WWE, which is pretty 50-50, to be honest. But anyway, back to the show. Yeah, anything else you want to say about that opening contest?
No, it's just very fun. The whole putting his head up the other guy's arse. I can't remember the name that well, but yeah, this was, I think, for opening the show, this made sense. This is the right choice to open the show, get the crowd happy, on side, show off some great stuff with Max. Yeah, and I think the Righteous looked good. I think there's a gimmick in there that can work. I think with the Righteous, it's that same sort of thing where, like, it reminds me a lot of like Far Cry 5, with sort of these sort of religious and like evilness to them. It reminds me of that. If they can play into that a lot more, then I think there's something really interesting they could do with this team.
They have a lot of interesting visual imagery in their video packages.
Yeah, definitely. Like if you look up anything to do with Far Cry 5, the most interesting part about it is the sort of villains of that game, where they are like this sort of religious sort of like force of like nature, which is quite interesting. And I think if you play a lot with that, get a lot of inspiration with that, it could be a very interesting gimmick, to build up.
It is certainly interesting. Like, it is a very strange thing of seeing two guys like wearing white suits in the middle of a garden with like these paper holding hands stick figures that kids would make. And they speak as if they are high on marijuana, but they're not. No. It's a really strange gimmick, but it has potential.
Yeah.
They definitely are very good when it comes to like getting heat from the audience with facial expressions and body language. They definitely know how to do that. Yeah, hopefully things go well for them.
Yeah.
And
definitely.
Tony Khan does exactly the word that you said before, a follow-up to this match. Because if they just go straight back to being behind a paywall, it was all for nothing.
Yeah, definitely. They need to follow up.
I think Ring of Honor being behind a paywall isn't a good idea anyway.
No, not really.
Yeah.
It does limit it.
I mean, I guess you can't really have it on TV because it's got such a variable length. Like, sometimes it's an hour and a half and sometimes it's like 3 hours. Because it's basically just the tapings of all the dark matches from the Dynamite and Collision tapings. Plus also backstage stuff that they filmed. So I don't know. I don't know what the correct answer is, because I feel like I feel like Tony Khan doesn't want to go and make it basically Dark in Elevation where it's just free on YouTube like it used to be.
No, yeah.
But I feel like there's some kind of compromise in between them that would work better. I'm not sure what that is.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Anyway.
The second match was very much, this was kind of like the tribute match to Antonio Inoki on the card, at least one of them, for sure.
Yeah.
For the
I'd
Ring
say
of
so.
Honor World Championship and the New Japan Strong Openweight Championship between Eddie Kingston and Katsuyori Shibata. I feel like this was kind of this was exactly what people expected.
Yeah, this is what we pretty much predicted in terms of what match they should have, and it very much lived up to that. I think it was a very, very cool match.
Yeah, I mean, obviously not super dangerous because Shibata has a limited sort of. He's not indestructible. He nearly died in the ring a while ago, like in 2017, I think it was. So he can't do everything like he used to. Like if this was peak Shibata, like 2015 Shibata, this would have been like a fucking 5-star classic. But obviously he's not able to do the stuff he used to do because he's of his near death experience. But it was still a very physical match, a very enjoyable match, and sort of a hard-hitting Japanese style brawl, if you will. If you like New Japan, then this is a good match to watch. And there was no real sort of heel face dynamic here because these are two guys that are very respectful.
No, these are two. Yeah, exactly. It very much had that vibe of the match throughout. So, yeah, this is a very, very fun, hard-hitting, strong style sort of rest hold kind of match.
Yeah, it's very much a match that only like a wrestling fan would enjoy. It doesn't really have a feud or involved or like a grudge or anything. It's just a physical contest between two friends. I think it's
definitely
one of the most unique things they've done with Shibata is because he can't speak English, he has a translator on his phone do his promos for him.
That's fun.
Yeah. And it sounds so weird. Like he has all this very sort of, I guess, psychopathic dialogue, but it's a like a translator lady saying it. It's like, I am going to chop you until you can't breathe.
Very fun, that.
Your championships are mine, Eddie. Like that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm sure Antonio Inoki would have enjoyed this match if he had seen it.
Definitely.
Yeah, good stuff. Then we get a lovely, lovely video package hyping up the next match, which was exceptionally filmed and directed. It was so awesome.
Yeah, they put a lot of stuff behind it.
So awesome. We have a match that I'm so glad is on this show, and between two women who have absolutely are in the peak of their careers at the moment. It is the TBS Championship.
A lot of improvement.
For sure. It is the TBS Championship match between Chris Statlander and Julia Hart of the House of Black with Brody King at ringside. This was so good.
Yeah, for all the faults that the women's division had, and there's still a lot. I think one of the biggest successes is Julia Hart and how much she's improved this last year and a bit. It's quite impressive to see.
Yeah, well, this is her third match with Statlander. Her first match ever in AEW in 2021 was against Statlander, and she basically got destroyed. And she was, she was like 19 years old back then, and she was a cheerleader for the Varsity Blondes. Then, about a year ago, she had another match with Statlander where she was wearing the eye patch, and she wasn't quite House of Black yet, but she was in a transitional phase. And she lost to Statlander again, but she showed a bit more aggression and a bit more, competitive spirit in that one. And then here, now that she's 21 years old, she's had training, and she's fully formed her character. She had an actual
Yes.
competitive match with Statlander, and it was really entertaining.
Yeah, sort of it, and the way you've described that, yeah, it's showing sort of like the stages of her very short career so far, and like how much she has improved as a person. Like her moonsault is pretty darn good.
Oh
It gets
yeah,
everybody off their feet.
yeah. It's not the best at the moment. I'd say the best one at the moment is probably Tiffany Stratton's. That one's just
Mm,
unbelievable. But it is a damn good moonsault. And Statlander is like in ring. She's like the MVP workhorse of women's division this year. Ever since she came back, especially since like All Out, she's been a massive asset to AEW's in ring product. She's so just just what an athlete. And because she is such an exceptional athlete, I feel like Statlander could have a good match with basically anyone. She's that level
oh yeah,
of.
definitely. Yes, she is. She's great.
I mean, her legs are just insanely strong.
Yeah, I do really like the stuff they've been doing with Hart and Brody King the last couple of weeks.
Yep.
It's been like really very cool dynamic, branching a little bit off from House of Black and sort of developing this sort of like hunking protector of Julia as she has these matches. It's
Mm-hmm.
very, very fun, very
Yep.
interesting.
Yeah, it's a very interesting dynamic because as I said
It is, yeah.
before, it's very unique in that you don't usually see something like this where you have
No.
a male muscle manager at the side of a female wrestler. One of the other
Yeah, it's
things
very cool dynamic.
one of the other spots I love that Julia does is that spider suplex off the top rope where she
Yes,
hangs
that was
herself.
exactly, and it's very much in line with like the character and sort of how it's presented. So that's always cool. It's like Bray Wyatt's like spider walk in a weird
Yep.
sense of like how it represents the character.
Mm-hmm.
It's very cool.
Yep. And then, of course, Statlander did a crazy transition from that octopus submission all the way around into her tombstone, which then she did the Luchasaurus thing where she stood up and then did another one with the leg hooked.
Mm,
That was exceptional. There was a lot of
yeah, very good stuff.
there was a lot of octopus holds on this show. Obviously, that was an Antonio Inoki move. The bloody what's it called? The abdominal stretch. That was one of his signature moves.
Yes, I think they referenced.
So yeah,
that
the finish was really well done, and yeah, what a statement! They've really made Julia into a star, and
They really have, yeah.
now she's off on her honeymoon with Lee Johnson, so that's nice for her.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, 21 years old. She's super young.
Yeah,
She's crazy young. I feel like the sky's the limit for her, really, in the next few years.
definitely.
Yeah.
She even now she probably has things to improve on, but is already showing such great signs.
Oh, the progress she's made has been great, and obviously,
Absolutely.
when you're surrounded by people like Malachi Black, Brody King, and Buddy Matthews, you've got a lot of good
You're gonna
influence.
learn a lot. You are gonna learn a lot, yeah.
Yeah. And of course, Statlander has said that she wants her reign. She's with the TBS Championship. She's very inspired by Orange Cassidy's reign with the international title.
Oh yeah,
And
absolutely. Yeah.
she kind of wants to strive to be a similar champion, like a fighting champion that's on, every week.
I think that's a good way to go about it, considering how long Cargill held it for and sort of how that was presented. To have it be
Yeah.
a lot more open challenge
Well, it's
and have
very
that sort of same sort of run would, I think I'm very much for that.
yeah. It's the TBS Championship is actually one of the best booked belts in the company.
At this point in time, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, really good match. I liked this one a lot. I think it achieved a lot for
I think it was
both
great.
of them. Yeah, I think it's great when you can have a match where both people come out better off from it.
Exactly, yeah. That's sort of the aim and sort of what you want.
Yeah. And yeah, just Statlander is such a good wrestler. It's unbelievable. She's such a great athlete.
She is very good.
Yeah. And then we had an absolutely fucking chaotic mess that was really fun. That was a 4-way tag team match for a #1 contendership for the AEW World Tag Team Championship.
Yeah, this is probably, for me, this is one of the matches that probably should have been on Dynamite. If you're going to cut something, this is probably one of the things I would cut.
Yeah, so they've done a really good job of developing the backstage interview dynamic with Hook and Orange Cassidy.
Yeah, and that's sort of where I got the idea of them winning from, because they've been sort of building this, team to be the strange out there Franken team for them to win. I think that is what they should have done. I get the Young Bucks sort of they set this up at All In for another match, and it'll be a good match. It will be. It always is. I feel like the right choice was going to be Cassidy and Hook. I think that would have been I felt there's a really good match in there, a quite unique match in there. And considering the sort of momentum Cassidy has had, with the international championship and now losing it, I feel like them winning would have been very interesting to see going forward.
Especially given that they are so diametrically opposed to FTR in terms of character.
But what I do like about this match is the dynamic of every team other than them is not only are they regular tag teams, they're all blood related.
They're also all former tag team champions as well.
Yeah, exactly. They're all former champions, which is a really interesting dynamics.
Yeah, they're all brothers. Crazy. So yeah, they've been, because Orange Cassidy and Hook both have the same thing of they show like they don't care, although they actually both of them do care deep down. They just don't show it. But I've really enjoyed their interview segments as of late.
Definitely.
It almost, this is gonna sound crazy weird, but the dialogue in their segments almost sounds like it's like a piss take of Chibnall dialogue. Because it is very wooden, but it's wooden on purpose. It's wooden for comedy.
But it's wooden and it's in character.
It's also it's also very self-aware. But yeah, but it's just because they're so monotone, it does remind me a bit of Chibnall. He's like, "That's a cool belt you got there." Yeah, I know. I think what makes them so funny is that wrestling, and especially American pro wrestling, is so full of hyperbole. So when you get two guys who are the exact opposite of hyperbole, it's quite a surprise. And that's why it's so funny. But yes, this match was insane. There was a lot going on in it.
Very much so.
As always, I mean, this is just what you come to expect from a Young Bucks match. They are always like this. They always throw everything at the kitchen sink at it.
Definitely.
One of my favorite things was how there was this lineup of Canadian destroyers, and then Austin Gunn refused to do it. That was quite funny.
That was quite fun.
Yeah. I can imagine this one would have been fun to watch live, actually, given that there was so much going on.
I imagine it would be, yeah. I imagine it would be.
Yeah. Now, they told a really good story with this match and how to execute the finish, because Rey Fenix went out with a... Obviously, Rey Fenix got... Because Rey Fenix and Jon Moxley had that match on Grand Slam where both of them got injured. And so in this match, they had Rey Fenix go out early, so Penta was fighting on his own, which then led to him being the one pinned. And that kind of made sense for the finish, not to damage anyone. That was quite smart.
Yeah, definitely.
One thing I also want to add is something that the Young Bucks have done recently, is I really like how they've designed their their attire to match the sneakers they're wearing. So they have these.
That's quite fun.
So they have like these red, white, and black Nikes on, and so they've designed their attire to match those shoes, and it looks pretty cool. Yeah, but I thought this was a fun match. I definitely
it was fun.
Yeah, I definitely can see your point about Orange Cassidy and Hook versus FTR could have been an interesting match to have, but I think you do have to consider that Full Gear is in California, so it'll be a big Young Bucks pro crowd. You can always do Orange Cassidy and Hook for the titles at another time.
Mm.
You know that is doable, but I guess I just have to wait and see what they do with it. But
yeah, we have to see.
I thought this was a fun popcorn match. There was one botch though where Nick Jackson didn't get his rope spin spot right. He like fell on the floor, which is that's a rare botch for him. Like Nick Jackson is usually one of the most consistently athletic performers.
Yeah,
He's able to get everything on point, but this is just a rare slip from him.
Not very common at all.
Yeah, maybe he's been eating too much Wendy's. They always eat Wendy's on BTE. It's like, hey man, you want to get some cheeseburgers? It is weird, always weird when I watch professional athletes eating fast food. I'm just like, how do you do that? I remember there was one time a WWE drive by or whatever it's called, like the thing on the network where you watch guys in their cars.
Yeah.
And they did one with Sheamus and Wade Barrett, and they went through the McDonald's drive-thru.
I imagine they just put that in to like, oh, I've got to do extra stuff here now. Whenever they go to the gym or something.
Yeah. I don't know. Especially because Wade Barrett was like ripped at the time as well.
He was fucking jacked.
Yeah. He was. Yeah, I don't have much more to add on this match. It was just a fun 13 minutes that zoomed by.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. I think the Young Bucks are some of the best at navigating the really annoying rules for the multi-team tag matches.
Yeah.
Because if you had it be an actual fatal four-way where it's 4 teams all legal.
This is what I always say. Yeah, this is what I always say. It should just be 4 people in the ring.
The problem is that would be insanely complicated to book.
I know, but fucking get over it.
Yeah. I mean, my solution to that is just make it a tornado match where everyone's legal.
Yeah, exactly. Just make it tornado. Yeah.
Yeah.
If that's such a hassle, then make it tornado.
Yep. Anyway, that was fun. Now we get onto the actual fucking big boy stuff. This is where from this point on, this is when the pay-per-view went into absolute overdrive and just fucking, oh my god, holy shit! I was.
Well, yeah, this is where a lot of main event caliber stuff happens.
Yeah, from this match, the next match to the end of the show, I was on the edge of my seat. I loved it. So we have Swerve Strickland with Prince Nana of the Mogul Embassy against Hangman Adam Page. I loved this. This was such a hot match.
Yeah, I've noticed a lot how much I've sort of been into Swerve because I'm constantly singing his theme at work. Whenever I'm doing anything.
Swerve when I drive.
I'm literally just singing that like almost 24/7 at the moment.
Yeah. Swerve is getting a lot of white guys rapping at the moment. that's for sure. Yeah, it's also because of the Prince Nana dance beam that's become so viral.
Exactly that. Along with that, I
fucking love Prince Nana. That AEW with RJ City is one of the best ones they've done with at the Mogul Embassy. That was hilarious. What are you gonna do if you go back to Ghana? Oh yes, I'm going to suck on them sugar canes. Suck on them so good. Jesus. Anyway, so this was Swerve's hometown. You know, this was in
Yep.
Seattle, Washington.
Swerve's house.
And despite being the heel, he was the face in this match as far as the crowd was
Yeah,
concerned.
very much so, which is no surprise.
Because they booed the absolute living shit out of Hangman Adam Page. They destroyed him. And one thing I've always loved this about Hangman Adam Page, is that despite the fact that he is like the ultimate AEW babyface, he isn't a coward. Like, he isn't like a soft babyface. He's not gonna take, in his mind, because I remember when like Cody Rhodes got booed, his character, what he would do is his character would genuinely be hurt by it because he was insecure and like depended on the fans loving him because he loved them.
Yeah.
And that kind of fit in his character in some ways and not in others. With Hangman Adam Page, if you boo him this way, then he just sees you as a heel crowd. Like, he just goes, well, fuck you too then. And it's one of those things that you would rarely see like the Fed do, especially during the Vince years, as they were too scared to have their baby faces actually be really honest.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. So once Hangman started getting booed, he played it up. And he's like, I'm gonna beat your boy in his hometown. I don't care. And I like it when babyfaces do that. It's almost like the reverse of, because remember when MJF was a heel and then he'd go to his hometown, and he would just
and was really like a massive babyface.
Yeah, even though he wasn't. This is kind of like the reverse case scenario of that, where Hangman is in someone else's hometown and he's getting booed, and even though he isn't a heel, he is against...
It's like when Punk had that promo in Long Island, I believe, and he was like talking about, Chicago was so much louder, and he was just at absolute fuckwit with them. It was great.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. This Hangman, it reminded me a lot of when he had his feud with CM Punk, because CM Punk was a babyface when he feuded with him, and so was Hangman. And like, Hangman was just like, I don't care if you like CM Punk. I think he's an asshole. Like that's who he is as a character. He's going to stick to his morals whether the crowd cheers or boos him. It doesn't matter. And that makes him a really honorable person as a character, because he's not going to kiss ass like a lot of other he's not going to pander and like be like, your favorite sports team, blah blah blah. Like, he's not that kind of character. It's, I have a set of beliefs and I'm going to stick to them no matter what, regardless of whether I get cheered or booed. If I get cheered, that's great. If I get booed, don't care.
Yeah, definitely.
And like,
very fun dynamics.
Yeah. And it doesn't make him a heel, but it does make him the antagonist to the crowd, which is a fantastic dynamic.
Yes, it's very fun.
Yeah, this match had everything. It had everything. Character, athleticism, drama. Prince Nana was so fun on the outside. It was well booked. Everything about it. Swerve is just, God, he is so damn good at this.
He is. Like I said when we did the predictions, this match is about making Swerve a main eventer, and this match did that insanely well.
This guy has...
like I said, he absolutely should be facing MJF at the end of the year. Absolutely. Winter is coming, I feel like, is his moment to have that sort of step up to challenge for the world title. Whether he wins or not, I don't know. It depends on the build, really. But he feels ready for it.
The kind of charisma that Swerve has, it's not just main event level for wrestling.
Yeah.
But he's the kind of charisma where he could walk on the red carpet in Hollywood and he would feel like
his
in.
promo on Dynamite, I feel like there's something about his dialogue that he uses for his promos feels like it's some of the most natural stuff.
Yeah.
Like it generally, a lot of promos can be very good, but it's very clearly like scripted.
He's also
when he talks, it feels so natural.
Yeah, he also ever since he came back from the coffin match, he's been speaking like an undead sociopath. Like especially the way
Yeah.
he walks to the ring like a zombie. Like he is like been locked up. And it makes such an interesting juxtaposition because Prince Nana is so camp.
He is like so camp. It's very fun.
Yeah,
It's a great contrast.
yeah. It's such an amazing dynamic of characters. And like
Yeah.
Hangman
What I
Hangman
liked about
Page,
this match, just to talk about the match quickly. I love the way they built the match around his arm and not be able to hit the lariat as he wants. It's very, very good stuff.
but also because Swerve got stabbed with a pen as well, and he was targeting his hand.
Mm,
Like he whacked his hand on the stairs and all that.
yeah, he did.
But yeah, this match was very physical. I mean, Hangman Page matches usually are. He's a very hard hitting guy.
Yeah, they normally are. Yeah,
He's very stiff. I think probably all those years he spent wrestling in Japan probably taught him at that, along with being a farm boy, having that farm boy strength. But yeah, this was it was a very hard hitting match. It was full of character. It was nasty. Oh, that fucking spot where like Swerve like he bent Hangman's arm around his back and he did that evil like ooh, and then he stomped on his arm and it looked like he injured his arm. It was crazy. I think one of my favorite, characters, I guess you could say, on AEW recently has been Doc Samson. They've been using him really well in matches to make things seem really natural. And I think this is something that really started when Collision came along. They started to use the doctors at ringside to really sell a lot of the kayfabe injuries within matches. Like, do you remember on the first episode of Collision when it was Andrade versus Buddy Matthews? They did like a match stoppage in the middle of it during the ad break.
They did. Yeah,
it made it feel like a fight.
Well, it made it feel real.
Yeah, one of the most unique things I've ever seen is Swerve Strickland doing a 450 splash onto someone's forearm. It's like, how often do you see that kind of thing?
Not too often, no.
But yeah, this was a super, super physical match, super dramatic, and there were genuinely points where I thought Hangman was going to win. I was convinced, and then eventually Swerve won. The facial expressions from Swerve at all times really is he's such a great like visible actor. I genuinely think he is one of Vince McMahon's biggest blunders is firing him. I cannot.
Yeah, up there. It's up there.
There's been a lot, but dude, this guy was gonna be a huge. He has huge megastar written all over him.
He does, yeah.
I cannot fathom to imagine how Triple H feels right now being head of creative and not having Swerve on his roster.
Yeah, it's a very massive missed opportunity.
Yeah. And I think it's been made evidently clear because when Hit Row was in NXT, they were very popular, but I think it's probably because it's mainly because of Swerve Strickland.
Yeah, I would imagine, yeah.
Because he is just an all-round talent. He's a great wrestler. He's a great promo. He has a great look. He's charismatic. He's young enough to have a future in the business as a main event star. He's in his prime. He's a fucking great rapper as well. Like, what more could you want? This dude is everything. Oh, get your bar. When I bar. And he's got a great faction surrounding him too.
He does.
So yeah. It also
this
match also creates another bump in the road for Hangman's character as well, which is great.
It does, which is very important, yeah. I think I've enjoyed the finish a lot of Prince Nana getting caught cheating. It's something that you don't see that often when
Yeah.
they put foot on the rope, where he actually does get red-handed, like caught. And yeah, I very much appreciate it. His reaction is very, very fun.
Yeah, I loved it how he
So
used
yeah.
like the crown he has as a weapon.
Mm-hmm.
That was insane.
Yes. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Big win for Swerve.
Yeah. Again, this is another match like the Statlander Julia Hart match where both guys come out with, you know, with more afterwards.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
This was great stuff. Love this match. Then after that, we move on to a match that was kind of like a supplement to the match from All
Yes.
Out and from Collision with
Yeah.
Danielson.
Yeah, because let's be honest, the highlight of this was Ricky Starks and John Moxley.
Yeah, Mox's commentary, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, we had a match between Ricky Starks and Wheeler Yuta. This probably could have been on Collision or Dynamite, to be honest.
Exactly. Yeah, this is another one that probably shouldn't have been on the pay-per-view, but it's it's to get Ricky on the card, keep his momentum up.
Yeah. That also Big Bill was involved in this as well, and he's been a big part of that whole feud with the whole manager's license and everything. I one thing I really liked about this match though was the commentary when they said that the reason why Wheeler Yuta didn't win is because he didn't hook the foot when he did the seatbelt pin. His technique wasn't on point. I always love it when they do that. I also loved when John Moxley was telling us all about the disciplinary stuff they do to Wheeler Yuta. like him, Bryan Danielson, and Claudio, like they just beat him up to like toughen him.
Yeah, he's used to it.
Yeah. But yeah, this match served its purpose. Ricky Starks won as he should have. Gives you. I think this is the first Wheeler Yuta singles match on pay-per-view, if I remember correctly.
Has he not faced anyone on singles and pay-per-views?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
That's quite interesting.
I think he's been in only tag team matches or like big multi-man matches.
Well, yeah, that's a big moment for him, and I like when he did lose. Moxley did talk about that. They're not worried about losses here and now. It's going to be the matches like 3, 4, 5 years down the line, which I really like in terms of like talking about someone's like potential.
Oh yeah,
you know.
Well, there's a lot of that on this show, actually. You know, talking about Julia Hart before, talking about Swerve Strickland. I mean, to be fair, Swerve is a star right now, not just the future. He's a star right now, as is Ricky. Ricky and Swerve are kind of in the same category, whereas like a Lee Moriarty and Wheeler Yuta are in the same category as each other. Much younger and have much more years to really come into their own. I remember on the predictions I noted that Wheeler Yuta has improved his promos.
Yes, you did say that, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, having Moxley on commentary was a great choice. He's always fun. I think based on the end of this match, I wouldn't be surprised if we get a match with Ricky and John Moxley at some point.
That seems like the next step. That seems like the next big thing for him, I think.
Yeah, probably Full Gear, I'd say.
Yeah, that would be a really good Full Gear match.
Yeah.
Which it's only like what, like 7, 8 weeks away now.
Something like that, and they've done a well, it's probably more like 6 weeks, honestly.
Yeah, it'll be around that. It'll be just around that 2-month period.
It's like the middle of November.
Yeah.
They've been telling an interesting story where Ricky, after his match with Danielson on Collision, wanted to shake his hand out of respect, and Big Bill stopped him.
Yes.
So yeah, this match kind of advances that story in a way. Anything else to say about Ricky versus Wheeler Yuta?
No, it was just a really fun little match. Probably could have been on Collision, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
Could
have been. Right. Now we move on to another huge match.
Oh, yes. Yes.
We have the absolute technical masterpiece of Bryan Danielson versus Zack Sabre Jr.
Easily match of the night.
In ring, for sure.
In ring, yeah.
This is a match that people have been wanting for a long time. The last time they wrestled was 2008 when Zack was a skinny kid. This match was every single thing you would have it could have been hyped up to be.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, in terms of like the actual like in ring work, yeah, it's very much expected to be this, and it did not disappoint in that regard.
I love Zack Sabre Jr.'s character. He is such a fucking nerd.
He's an asshole nerd, really.
Yeah, he is such a judgmental nerd. Like, he's petty about everything. And the way he's like, oh yes, Danielson, you were supposed to win me with a technical match and I didn't tap out, you had to knock me out. So really, I am the better wrestler, aren't I? Like, that sort of thing.
Yeah. Very, very fun in that regard.
Yeah, he's like a snobby traditionalist in a way. And that he's he's not a brawler, and that is his weakest point, but he feels like if you can't beat him in a technical match, then you really haven't actually beaten him.
Yeah, but that in terms of that's a really good story to run with.
Yeah.
In case they ever do have another match at some point, maybe. But yeah, it's very fun. Very fun in that regard. And,
what I love about it is that in a way, both of them kind of won. Because Bryan Danielson couldn't out-wrestle Zack Sabre Jr., therefore he had to knock him out. No, he couldn't.
He had to resort to like his strike, which is what he's best at. But obviously, Zack's thing is, grapple mat wrestling.
Yeah.
There was just really good transitions to one move to another on the mat.
Yeah.
And the surfboard stuff was really cool as a spot.
Oh yeah.
It's just really good stuff throughout. Like every moment, there was something really cool, interesting happening.
It was very, very, very violent in a biological way.
Definitely.
They targeted pretty much every limb, ligament, and part of each other's bodies. It was like a complete and utter surgical procedure, is what I would say. I mean, that's kind of the way I think about Zack Sabre Jr. He wrestles like a surgeon. And he just the way he'll grab your fingers and bend them and crack them. It's just disgusting. It's so grotty. And Pete Dunne used to be like that too when he was the Bruiserweight.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But yeah, the way these two men wrestled, and I love it when Danielson does the the hammer and elbow thing on the top rope. It's such a strange place to do it, but it's effective. And this all of the submissions they did, when they basically got themselves grapevine into an insane clusterfuck of arms and legs. It was just I couldn't believe what I was watching. It was so insane. Yeah, this is genuinely, I think you said this before, this is probably one of my favorite matches of the year. It was very unique.
Yes, definitely. Very unique, especially to the rest of the card.
Yeah. And also, let's not forget, and this, I could wax lyrical about how incredible of a wrestler Bryan Danielson is and always has been. But this is insanely different to his last pay-per-view match. When we talked about his match with Ricky Starks at All Out, it was the polar opposite in terms of style, and yet it's just as great.
Definitely.
When he violently bloodied him with a strap, compared to this, which was a technical, bit of wizardry and finesse. And man, yeah. Zack Sabre he's one of those wrestlers where it seems like he never botches anything ever. His technique is perfect in
No, no, really, no.
every single move he does. The technique is just, it's so on point. Like he has mastered this style to an absolute perfection. And when he got him in like the double leg hooked like both of, I don't even know what to call it, but both of Danielson's arms were hooked behind his back by a leg scissors, and he had him in an octopus hold. It was like, it's like, how does he do it? It seems like he's got like fucking 8 arms and legs or something, and like he's got so many ways to bend body parts.
Yeah, it's just very, very, very cool stuff.
Yep. And the selling as well. That's another thing that was great about this match, was the selling.
Oh yes, the selling was
exceptional.
pretty great. Yeah.
And of course,
The whole stuff with him is like his right forearm for Danielson. Yeah, this very well done during the match.
Yep. I mean, this is probably, it did tell a great story, but of the bulk of this match, if someone were to say to me, what would wrestling look like pro wrestling, if it was to be like look like a sport as much as possible, I feel like this is kind of what you would think of it as.
This would pretty much be it, yeah.
Because when I look at someone like Zack Sabre, he is basically a pro wrestler as a sports player, but he also has a character on top of that, and I think that's what makes him great. I remember back during when he was in the Cruiserweight Classic in 2016, I thought, this guy is impeccable in the ring as a technician. The one thing he needs to really cement himself is an interesting character, and now he has that. Ever since he went to New Japan, he has become a hell of a character. And he's put on a lot of mass as well. He's much bigger than he used to be.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, this was just a bloody great fucking match.
Yeah. I was blown away by it.
Oh yes, definitely.
And we had this match on the waiting list for a long time. This was supposed to be at the first Forbidden Door before Danielson got
it was meant to
concussed.
happen last year, yeah.
But it's kind of a happy accident because we ended up getting the Claudio match instead and the debut. And then now we get the Danielson match here. But yeah, this match was every bit as great as it was meant to be. It was, for me, easily a 5-star classic. It was impeccable. I loved everything about it.
Easily, yeah.
Yeah.
Easily, very, very well told.
Grapple
match.
I don't think I have any criticisms of it, to be honest. I think it was pretty
No,
damn
not
perfect.
really. I don't really.
They pretty much got every single thing about it right. Yeah, bravo. I love when wrestling is like this, when it is this good. And you know, we've been hearing a lot, like, this is one of the things that, you know, lately I've been rolling my eyes at WWE's branding, where they're like, John Cena is the greatest of all time, and they love to say that a lot.
Yep, they even have the announcers say it.
Yeah, and it's really cringe. But when on this show, when someone like Tony Schiavone says, I think Bryan Danielson might be the best in-ring performer of all time, I actually kind of believe it. It's hard to...
Yeah,
it's really hard to argue against it.
He proves it in ring.
Like, who you're trying to, like, think of everyone's careers. Like, who has had this many matches that are like this? This guy has been doing this for... He has been having these kind of matches for, like, 25 years. Close to 25 years. Like, it's insane. That's
an insane amount of time to have this caliber of matches constantly, almost.
Yeah. And, like, especially when it comes to exposure on TV, like, his AEW run is it's just great match after great match after great match. Like, he's just so consistently great all the time. And I remember when Danielson first arrived at All Out 2021 in the press conference, before he'd even had a match, he said something like, one of the main reasons why I've come here, not only is it because I'm interested in working with all these guys, but it's also, I want to show everyone what the word elite is really about, like what elite wrestling really
Mm,
looks like, and he's very much lived up to that. Because
absolutely.
I don't think
No
anyone
doubt about
in ring can touch his AEW run. He is just the best.
it. Yes, it's been quite the run.
Yeah. And he's in his last year full time, so we better enjoy it while it lasts.
Yep. It's yes, been quite the run.
Yep. Now, of course, Danielson won the match by pinfall after he knocked him out with 2 running knees. And went for the handshake, the code of honor, and Zack refused him. If they do a rematch, I would love to see that. Anything between these guys is just magic.
Oh yes, it's a sight to behold.
I mean, you want to talk about 2 guys who haven't touched in 15 years. They have insane chemistry.
Oh bloody hell, yeah.
It's like they work with the same brain.
Well,
Yeah.
in some ways they have very similar ways of looking at wrestling.
It's well, certainly from like a submission and a grappling perspective, yes.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. The one thing that the thing is Danielson has, like, Zack is like perfection in his style, but the thing that Danielson has that he doesn't is range. He can do anything, any match type,
He does, yeah. Yeah, he does.
any genre. He is one of those musicians that can do any genre and do it great. He is a master of all crafts. Hell, I even think Bryan Danielson could make a bra and panties match entertaining. He would find a way. I mean, he made his when he had that like that really silly love triangle with the Bella twins, in WWE. He made that entertaining.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
He even has like one of the most famous like squash matches of all time at WrestleMania when he got beaten by Sheamus in 18 seconds. It's a
Yeah, he turned that into chicken salad.
absolutely 2 years after that he main evented WrestleMania and held both belts.
Yep. Crazy.
Absolutely mad. He's one of the greatest of all time. Absolutely, I can confidently say
Definitely.
that. Just like it's funny because I've heard him before say like I'm not really a promo guy, but his promos are also really good too. Like he's a really
Yeah, exactly.
good promo.
He's really good at promo.
Dude, when he
Knows how
turned
to. Yeah, he can tell a story.
when he came out in 2021 to face Hangman Adam Page after Hangman had just won the belt, he cut that scathing promo on him. It was so good.
Oh yeah, that shit was great.
Absolute fire. Yeah, great stuff. Absolutely impeccable classic match. And the pay-per-view's still not over. We've still got great stuff to go from here.
No, yeah.
So now we have a match which is very, very built on story, long-term story, lots of arcs and lore and many, 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 many different variables at play here. We have the Don Callis family of Takeshita, Ospreay, and Guevara versus Jericho, Omega, and Ibushi.
Yeah. I don't have much to say about this match, to be honest.
Yeah.
This feud. It's the part about this feud that just doesn't work for me is Sammy Guevara. Like I just don't care. I don't care about him. I really don't.
Mm-hmm. Well, funnily enough,
Like
he's
having all this talent and making me not really care about the match is quite insane.
well, funnily enough, his on Dynamite, he's temporarily been removed from it because he's gone to aid his wife as she's pregnant, right? She's going through like a lot of labor pain. And so they've basically replaced him with Kyle Fletcher, which is really cool because Kyle Fletcher's great. Aussie, Aussie, Aussie! Which unfortunately, it's really sad, but Mark Davis has gotten re-injured.
All right.
Which really sucks. because they were on a pretty good run, even though they were losing a lot of big matches. But yeah, Sammy as a character is. It's just, I feel like ever since he won the TNT title, something's been off with him. Ever since he beat Miro for the TNT title and he had that feud with Cody, there's just something about Sammy's character that just doesn't work, and it's never worked.
No, and it's been such an uphill battle for him to even get any sort of good reactions.
Yeah,
and it's just not working.
yeah, he needs something different. I don't know what it is, but he needs something different. I almost wonder if him being so closely aligned with Jericho has been a bit of a curse for him.
It has been, because it's this constant back and forth with them for like 4 years.
Yeah. And it's almost... Jericho can have great stuff from time to time, but there is something to be said about I feel like Chris Jericho in AEW would work so much better if he was a part-timer.
Yeah, I feel like if he was, it'd be a lot more. Yeah, I would probably actually agree with that massively.
Because there's so much of his stuff over the years, especially ever since... I would say he was really good at first when he was champion. That was probably his best stuff he did.
That was a really good run. That was.
Yeah.
It was.
But ever since we came out of the pandemic, it's been very stop-start with him. He's had very good highs and very weird, stagnant lows.
Yep, I would agree.
And it is fitting that they are teaming now with him and Kenny, given that their history with Don Callis. Like, I do think it's a good idea to tell that story, but there is something about this story that is missing something. There is an element that isn't fully clicking it all together, and it doesn't feel, especially when you consider the people involved in this match and how much of a big deal they all are to respective brands. You know, like Will Ospreay and Kota Ibushi are two of New Japan's biggest ever stars. And Kenny, Jericho, two of AEW's biggest stars. Takeshita and Sammy are like two of AEW's big future stars. It's a strange thing, isn't it?
It is very strange.
I think the right team won, because you had the Don Callis family win, which is the right choice.
Yes. Yeah, definitely.
But I think booking-wise, I feel like they could do so much better with... I loved it when it was Kenny and Takeshita and Don Callis without Jericho. That sort of... And with Ibushi being involved with like the paintings, I will say I do love the paintings. I love the Titantron where it's Don Callis in the Jesus painting. That is fucking hilarious. It reminds me of the Master from The Power of the Doctor.
Yeah. Oh god.
That is fucking hilarious. Like, I love the angle they did when they flew all the way to Japan just to beat the shit out of Kota Ibushi. Like, that was great. But there is something about Jericho in AEW that just seems, especially when he's a babyface, that just seems to make everything not as good as it should be, and I can't place what it is. It's just weird. There's this weird disconnect in the booking. And it's not like a bad story, but I just feel like there's so much better that you can do with it all. Especially when you consider, like, all of the history that all these men in this match have. There's so much history there. But as a match, it's not really connecting in the way that it should.
Yeah.
Like, this was quite a standard 6-man tag team match, if you really think about it. And again, this is a match they could have just had on Dynamite.
Yep. Definitely. They definitely could have done that. Again, another match like that.
But again, it's because it has Ibushi and because it has Osprey, they wanted to put it on pay-per-view.
Yep. That's probably one of the reasons why it's on the card.
Yeah. So yeah, I still think it's fine. I still think it's a. I will say there was one
Yeah, I think
spot.
it's just fine.
There was one really great thing in this match was the thing they did where they did the Antonio Inoki abdominal stretch, and then Will Ospreay put his hand out, and everyone linked their hands together. That was hilarious, and they were all pulling like a monkey chain. And then
Yeah.
afterwards, the babyface team did it on the other side as well. And I loved it how like Aubrey was counting them down and they didn't break it, so she just kicked his hand. That was hilarious. That was great fun.
Mm.
I mean, that is
Yeah.
that is kind of par for the course when you consider that Kenny Omega matches are usually like this. He's a bit of a mad scientist and he's able to come up with a lot of very interesting multi-person combinations of things. He's always been like that. But yeah, the Don Callis family won the match, and yeah, I'm interested to see where things go from here. But yeah, this is fine.
I will. Yeah, definitely. I hope that the whole Jericho part of this is not. I hope it doesn't continue because I am just sick of it. I really am. But I have a feeling it isn't going to stop anytime soon.
Well, Jericho feuds tend to last like 10,000 years, don't they?
Yeah, they do. They tend to last legitimately like 3 months, and like 2 months are over what they should.
Like the Eddie Kingston feud, the first half of it for Revolution was amazing, and then as soon as everything that like, as soon as they went after that, they did the thing of like, oh, you're gonna face me, and I'm gonna be the paid maker, and like they just dragged it and dragged it and dragged it out. It was insane.
Yeah, they did. They did.
And it wasn't until like Blood and Guts that they finally ended it. That lasted half a year.
Yep. It did last quite a while.
Yep. Anyway, let's move on to the AEW World Tag Team Championship match between FTR and Aussie Open. Which unfortunately,
yeah.
This wasn't on the
This was
level of
fine.
their.
This was no.
Wasn't on the level of their match they had last year.
I don't think it doesn't help with the fact that it just is. I think this is one of the more predictable matches on the card, like quite predictable. So the crowd couldn't really buy into it at all, unfortunately.
Yeah, the stakes were a little bit blemished.
Yeah, and in terms of FTR matches, yeah, it's perfectly fine. I think the finish is really cool. The top rope shatter machine. I think that's a really cool. I've always think that's a really cool finish.
There was one crazy moment where they
impactful.
There was one crazy moment where Aussie Open tried to do the shatter machine and Kyle kneed Cash Wheeler right in the head. Yeah, but again, this was a fun match. Again, this could have been on like a Dynamite or a Collision, and I feel like it would have been better off for
this also could have been Literally, there's like 3 matches you can cut, and then you make this pay per view 3 hours, and then it's more digestible. It's just going to be a constant issue until they decide maybe we shouldn't put every single match on the card.
Yeah,
maybe it's all right to have title matches and big matches on Dynamite and Collision. Maybe that's fine.
I mean, they do that anyway because they have a lot of big matches all the time.
Yeah, but that's because there's 3 months in between every pay per view,
and because the roster is so fucking loaded.
Exactly. Yeah, it's what the one thing that WWE since Trips has taken over is allowing pay per views to just be 6 big matches, give them all time, and hopefully a lot. And most of them do deliver because they're giving that breathing space.
Yeah.
It's something that they need to learn, and because eventually there's going to get to a point where not everybody is going to just drag people out. Really.
I almost feel like AEW almost gets away with this format because of how insanely talented the work rate is.
Yeah, I think that's a big factor. I do think that's a big factor.
the roster is so incredibly talented. They are able to pull off things that would be very difficult otherwise. But I think that is my main criticism of this pay-per-view, is that it was too long.
Mm-hmm.
And there were certain matches that did, and I say that I'm not against the idea of doing 4-hour pay-per-views. I fucking loved All Out. All Out was 4 hours, and every match on that felt great. Every match on that, maybe Samoa Joe versus Shane Taylor could have been cut, but I think that created a really unique angle out of it.
Yeah. Plus, that was built to, and that was like, they had a whole tournament, and it's about getting someone new
Yeah.
on the card, like breaking out.
Yeah, I think there's a few other things as well with this show, is that because Moxley got injured, you had no international title match. And also Ray Phoenix got injured as well, which means he was in the tag match.
Mhm.
Well, I mean, he was in the tag match anyway, and he was always going to be. But it meant the international champion was in the tag match and not in a singles match. The other thing is they blew a lot of their big matches on Grand Slam.
Yeah.
So, like, Jericho versus Sammy Guevara was a big match, story-wise. You had Joe versus MJF. You had Saraya versus Tony Storm. These are quite big matches that they had on Grand Slam. But yeah, the FTR Aussie Open match was solid, I'd say.
Yeah.
Not either team's greatest match though. They've definitely done better.
Yeah.
The matches that Aussie Open had with the Elite,
yeah.
the matches that Aussie Open had with the Elite last year were insanely good.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah. What were you going to say you liked?
No, what I do like is the FTR splash they do. FTR doing their splashes, then the quick
Oh yeah, the Power and Glory.
One comes out of nowhere. That's always pretty cool visually.
Yeah, there was a tag team in the late '80s called Power and Glory, and that was their finisher. And I believe it was Hercules Hernandez and Paul Roma, I think. I could be wrong about that, but I think that's who they were. It's been a while since I watched those pay-per-views. Yes, Hercules Hernandez and Paul Roma with the Power and the Glory, and they did that as their finishing move. Obviously, FTR being a throwback to the classic era of tag team wrestling. It fits them. The suplex into the splash. I always love it when they do it sort of simultaneously, although that is a bit dangerous. Because the splash could land anywhere. But yeah, I'm curious to see, now that Mark Davis has been re-injured, if Kyle Fletcher gets a bit of a singles push. Because I remember when Darius Martin got injured, they gave Dante Martin a big push singles-wise in 2021, and that was quite cool. And that led to a match he had with... he had a feud with... God, who was it? Was it Lee Moriarty? And he was with Matt Sydal and Leo Rush, and... Oh, there was a few people around there. I think Jay Lethal was involved in that too. He had a world title match with Hangman on Dynamite once. That was quite good. Anyway, Kyle Fletcher's real good. Of course, after this comes the main event.
Oh, yes.
Obviously, I said that in ring-wise, the match of the night was Danielson versus Zack, and that is not disputed. That was the match of the night in ring. But I think in terms of story, I would say this was.
This was great.
Yeah.
This is a great combination of what Christian has done these past months. Really cool, building this character into in terms of being sort of this father figure for people who don't have dads.
And
it's
also
cool.
The main event of an AEW pay-per-view was a match for the TNT title. 1 year ago, the TNT Championship was in a messy place with Wardlow.
It really was, yeah.
It was in dire straits. Christian Cage has brought the TNT title to the most prominence it's arguably ever had.
Yep, I'd say so.
I mean, the only real competition is the Cody Rhodes Brody Lee feud.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the TNT Championship main evented a pay-per-view. And that's interesting because the last pay-per-view was main evented by the international title. So I really like what they've done with that. Now, Tony Khan, now what you need to do is have a show main evented by the women's title.
Yeah, that'd be nice. That'd be nice.
You have some fucking really good women's wrestlers now with great characters. And that's not even considering the fact that Thunder Rosa isn't back yet, Jamie Hayter isn't back yet, and Britt Baker is on a sabbatical. You've got Timeless Tony Storm.
Jay Cargill, yeah.
Yeah, you just lost Jay Cargill, who was there. You got Chris Statlander. You've got Timeless Tony Storm, who's one of the best characters in AEW at the moment. You got Saraya. You got Ruby Soho. You got Julia Hart. You got Willow Nightingale. You got Athena. You've got so many. Hikaru Shida. Fucking hell. Anna Jay. Ty Mello, who's pregnant. There is just this endless list of women's wrestlers that could be. I mean, Serena Deeb was great before she was taken off TV because she has heat. And you know they teased Mercedes Moné at All In. I actually think if you're gonna main event an AEW pay-per-view with a women's title match, I think you could do it with Mercedes Moné. I genuinely think Tony Khan would actually bend backwards to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, dude, imagine a match between Mercedes Moné and Jamie Hayter. That would absolutely slap balls. Holy fuck. That would be an absolutely brilliant piece of television or pay-per-view. Anyway, but that is for a future discussion. Tonight we talk about Christian Cage, one of the best heels in wrestling, having the peak of his career as TNT champion, against Darby Allin, who in ring has been one of the MVPs of wrestling. He is like Bryan Danielson. Every match he has is an absolute banger. He was in his hometown of Seattle, and this was a 2 out of 3 falls match where you had basically 3 very different matches happen back to back to back. I loved everything about this.
Mm-hmm.
The attention to detail, the storytelling. It was just so well crafted. Even like the mistake that Darby made where he accidentally punctured his face and had like a blood streak running down his cheek added something to the match. And I loved it how... So I guess we should break this down fall by fall, right?
Well, yeah, the first fall is quite interesting. And I think it was a really, really interesting way to start the match out. Because you have Christian just sort of doing what he normally does, flips off the crowd, and goes for the kill switch. But Darby puts this turtleneck over his head and rolls him up, which I thought was quite fun.
Giving him the advantage, which means Christian has to win twice to retain his title.
Yeah, and really the way unique. He goes about it is what really very interesting. He like completely just demoralizes them.
Yeah, so Christian Cage was made a fool of because his turtleneck distracted him and he was rolled up, which gave Darby the advantage. As a reaction to this, Christian Cage beat the absolute living shit out of this guy. Yep. He was nasty and ruthless, and he was flirting with Nick Wayne's mum.
Yep, he was.
Yep. And he got slapped hard for it. Oh no, he didn't get slapped, he got like water thrown in his face. But yeah, that was a great bit of fun. And then of course, Christian Cage got out the steel steps. And he thought this is a bit too dangerous. I'm just going to drop him down. And Darby goes back up and says, no, do it again. I want you to commit to this.
And then he
Christian Cage
fucking kills him.
He turned him sideways and he fucking did one of the most insanely dangerous and gruesome things I've ever seen in wrestling. I had my jaw on the floor. This is kind of like
it was pretty insane.
This is kind of like the savage beating they gave Kevin Owens at the Royal Rumble, you know, on the steps. Except this was like times 10 because he fucking launched his entire spine onto the steps sideways. And I'm pretty sure Darby Allin broke his arm on the steps because you can see his wrist kind of just bent around it. But yeah, Christian Cage chucked Darby onto the steps and then won the second fall by countout. Which was absolutely ridiculous. Like, it was insane. Absolutely stupendous. And a great bit of heel character work for Christian. Oh god, just watching it back is just painful. Drops him down, suplexes his legs on, then he lifts him up, pushes him. Fucking brutal. It's just, I just couldn't, like, I was like, when I watched this, I was like, I've never seen something like this before. I really haven't. Like, I've watched a lot of hardcore wrestling, but just it's not just about the spot itself, it's about the intent of the character. It's about I am willing to do this much to you to win this match and defend my title. You know, Christian Cage is very much channeling that Tommaso Ciampa energy with his belt, being very protective over it and being obsessed with it, having it. I mean, he was like that when he wasn't even the champion, with Luchasaurus as the champion, but now that he actually is the champion, it's like it's pushed him into overdrive. And yeah, Darby put out his arm to try and protect himself and it inevitably broke it. And then after that, he had to wrestle an entire another fall on top of that. Like a whole another 10 minutes.
Yep.
Which was just unbelievable. And then we get the third fall where Christian completely dismantles the entire ring. Yep.
What I really liked about this was commentary really sold this for very well. Like, Taz was just like, what are you doing? I feel like they did a really great job in selling Christian's sort of insanity in taking this match.
He goes full, like, Nexus Invasion 2010 and, like, completely rips the ring up and takes the entire canvas off and the padding and exposes the wood under it.
Oh, yes.
And it's funny because he's doing this knowing he's like, yeah, that little fucker's going to get off that thing, isn't he? Yeah, I know who Darby Allin is, and I know that little bastard is going to get off that stretcher and come back in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the entire ring apart and I'm going to basically murder him. And man, those fucking wooden boards, holy shit.
Unforgiving. That kill switch is fucking brutal.
Yeah. Darby Allin wrestled this entire third fall with a broken arm as well. Let's not forget that.
Yeah.
That is nasty. He did that massive frog splash onto the stretcher. And, yeah. Brought him into the ring. And they, just... I loved it when he did the Scorpion Deathlock as well, just to make fun of Sting. That was great. Great bit of heel heat.
Yeah.
And, yeah. Darby Allin trying to do the coffin drop and landing right on the wood was fucked.
Oof.
And the, yeah, just insane stuff. And, while the ref wasn't looking, Mr. Nick Wayne came out. Darby Allin instructed him to hit Christian with the belt, and Nick Wayne hit Darby Allin.
Was not expecting that. Not expecting that at all.
I was not expecting it, but because they've set it up, I was like, oh yes. It's because Darby forgave AR Fox. So they've kind of turned chicken shit to chicken salad with that, haven't they? They've taken something really annoying and they've made a story out of it. So it's like, well, if we can't have heel AR Fox, we're gonna have heel Nick Wayne.
Yeah.
And yeah,
And then and that was that. Christian hits him, pins him, and that's it.
Christian retains the TNT
Slow
title.
count for the win.
Yep. And Nick Wayne has embraced him basically as his stepfather. Which
Yeah,
and
that's why.
I loved this because usually it's the other way around where like the family member in the crowd gets comeuppance on him, but in this case it was actually the young man joins him, and the mother at ringside is like, "What are you doing?" He is not only joining Christian Cage, but he's basically turning on his mum as well, which is insane heel heat. And then Sting very seriously comes out to the ring with no music and no lighting. He just wants to batter the shit out of Christian Cage for what he's done. How he's basically corrupted this entire main event, what he's done to Darby and all that. Sting comes out, tries his best. Of course, Luchasaurus comes down. They're about to concerto Sting. The lights turn off. You think you know him. And
Adam Copeland is all elite.
We get that great video package of him driving his car around Seattle with that awesome shot with the fireworks going off in the background of a stadium that actually had fireworks for an actual firework display was going on at the time. It was an awesome bit of cinematography. And then of course the rated R superstar, Mr. Adam Copeland, also known as Edge, debuts in AEW.
Crazy, fucking crazy.
Yep. Gets the steel
chair. This is as crazy to watch as Cody when he returned at Mania 2 years ago.
And I love this.
It's that same thing.
Because what the rated R superstar did immediately, his first action in this company, is to batter a child with a chair.
Yeah.
That was hilarious.
It's so crazy because this is Edge, obviously renamed as Adam Copeland, but it is the same character in AEW. That's fucking crazy. It's just
really surreal. It's really surreal because, like you said with Cody, when he turned up in WWE, it's just like, well, he's not doing the meta stuff anymore, but this is kind of like 2019 Cody Rhodes in AEW.
It's AEW. It's AEW Cody in WWE. That's what it was.
Yeah, it's just without all the heel stuff he was doing in the last year of his run.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, I solved racism. I'm gonna cry now. Yeah. They cut out some of that stuff, and he was very self-aware about his, how he failed at that. But it is strange because it is literally Edge from WWE in AEW. It's so surreal.
Oh yes.
And this is the magic of having competition as well, because this is what it was like back in the day when guys would go from the Fed to WCW.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like seeing, I remember when everyone said seeing Bret Hart in WCW was the weirdest thing ever because he'd been a WWF guy for his entire career. And it's the same thing as when people saw when people saw who's a WCW guy, when people saw Goldberg turn up in WWE, that was a really strange thing as well, because you just associate them with those brands. Seeing Edge in AEW is such a weird feeling, yet it still felt right. It still felt like he fit in.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually think what's interesting is that I feel like for the last few months of his WWE run, he felt like he didn't really fit in anymore.
Yeah.
He almost felt out of place. When he had that brief feud with Grayson Waller on SmackDown, I was like, he just doesn't feel like he fits in anymore to this product.
No.
But now he's here. Now he's in AEW, and it's almost like a complete breath of fresh air. His career is instantly rejuvenated. He's so interesting again. I mean, obviously Dynamite has aired since the show that we're filming it now, and his promo he cut on Dynamite, it's like this is a whole new Edge that we haven't gotten in so long. Of course, there was a great line where Christian said, "Go fuck yourself."
Yeah, that was great. That
Yeah.
legitimately is like quite impactful.
Yeah. But yeah, I love this match. I thought it was a work of art. It was violent, brutal, and it highlighted two of my favorite guys from this year in wrestling. Darby Allin and Christian Cage have been two of the best guys in wrestling this year, and they had a great main event to sort of cap off their feud. And all I want to say to Darby Allin is, when you climb Mount Everest, please don't die. For the love of God, do not die, man. Because, I mean, he is crazy, and it's almost like he wants his life to end earlier than expected. Like, he is wrestling to the point where it will kill him, which is really, it's really sad to say it like that, but it is kind of his choice. Like, that is what he's doing to himself. He's like this, like, that is his outlet, which is, it's kind of fucked up in a way. And almost every health and safety person would tell him not to do the things he does, but Tony Khan lets him do it. You could almost say he's pro-choice, Tony Khan, when it comes to his talent doing what they want. But yeah, this was a absolutely sensational main event with a great angle at the end, and I am so excited to see the future of AEW with Edge now involved. And now they're going to counter-program NXT, and bloody John Cena, Paul Heyman, Becky Lynch, and Asuka all going to be on NXT to try and counter-program that. Not only that, but on Dynamite, you not only get Edge versus Luchasaurus, but you also get Bryan Danielson versus Swerve, which is going to be an absolute banger, and Jon Moxley versus Rey Fenix get a rematch. Like, holy shit. Now all they need is Mercedes Moné, and then to sign the New Japan guys like Will Ospreay, and you've got one hell of a roster. I mean, they already have a hell of a roster, but they'd even better roster. I think once Mercedes Moné comes in and once Jamie Hayter comes back, there is no reason not to have one women's match per hour of television.
Yeah, pretty much. There's no excuse.
There's no excuse. They've actually been doing really good ratings, like, recently, especially Toni Storm. Her numbers have been very good. So yeah.
Yeah.
Your closing thoughts on the main event?
Yeah, I thought this main event was great. Some great banging matches. Surprisingly, there was angle or two that I was not expecting, like I said, because I very much felt this was going to be a very just wrestling heavy show, and it was. But yeah, I think it was, other than some matches, I think not probably that shouldn't have been on the card. It could have been put on TV, and that had been fine. This was a very good show. This is a very, 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 very good show. And
I mean, with Tony Khan branding this as almost like a new era of AEW, right? When you look at it in the fine details, this pay-per-view, it paid a lot of homage to the past with Antonio Inoki, but it also set up a lot of future stuff as well. Not only with Edge coming in, but you look at some of the stars they had on this show, like Billy Starks, like Lee Moriarty, like Nick Wayne, like the Acclaimed, The Righteous, Julia Hart, Chris Statlander, The Guns, Hook, Orange Cassidy, Swerve, Hangman, obviously, I mean, he's been around for longer. Wheeler Yuta was on this, Ricky Starks was on this, Zack Sabre was on this, Sammy Guevara, bit for better or worse, was on this, Takeshita, Will Ospreay, Kyle Fletcher, and obviously Darby Allin was on this show. Like, there was so much of these other future guys on this show that I think it does, in a way, succeed on that front of paying homage, but also looking forward as well. And I think AEW, even though they recently lost CM Punk, which is a shame, they are in good hands. And I think Adam Copeland is a huge name for them.
Yes, definitely.
And if CM Punk comes back to WWE at Survivor Series, holy shit, we're going to have one hell of a road to WrestleMania. I mean, I don't know what Punk wants, and I don't know what the WWE really want. But I feel like that would be a great thing to happen, at least on screen. I don't know about backstage, but on screen, CM Punk in WWE would be insane. I mean, if you want to counter program AEW, that's how you do it. Yeah, very exciting. So yeah, sort of overall thoughts on WrestleDream after we reviewed all that.
Yeah, I think. Oh, what would I give it? I would probably say I probably maybe I can't remember what I gave All In and All Out.
All Out, I'm pretty sure was a 9.
I would say all. I think I'd probably give this also a 9 because I think I would give this higher if a couple matches were cut, so that it was a bit more of a tighter show. But I think 9 out of 10 is still bloody really good because it had some fucking great matches.
Yeah. Yeah, because MJF as Righteous was everything it needed to be. So was Kingston and Shibata. So was Statlander and Julia Hart. And Swerve versus Hangman was incredible. Danielson versus Zack Sabre Jr. was like one of the best matches I've probably ever seen. Cage versus Darby Allin was also one of the best matches of this year. But then you get stuff like the 4-way tag match, Ricky Starks, Yuta, Don Callis family versus Jericho, Kenny and Ibushi, and FTR versus Aussie Open. None of the matches were bad. They were all good matches, but I just think there is something to be said about this show could have been 3 hours and it would have been better for it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so I'm trying to remember. I don't really like to give ratings for wrestling shows. I don't think that's my thing. But if I had to, I feel like 8.5, I'm going to say.
Cool.
Yeah, great show. They're on a damn good roll, AEW. The last 4 pay-per-views they've done, so Forbidden Door, All In, All Out, WrestleDream. They're all great shows. And very much looking forward to Full Gear. Because of, obviously MJF versus Jay White is going to be an absolute banger. I'm looking forward to seeing MJF finally have another world title match. Because obviously he had the match with Joe, but I want to see like a big main event world title match with MJF again. And I think his match with Jay White should be amazing. And what else was? I think there was another match announced on there with Full Gear. Am I wrong? No, I'm not right with that. There isn't. Anyway, I'll be looking forward to it regardless. I purchased a bundle deal early this year when I bought Double or Nothing, so I don't have to pay for this one. Or I mean, I've already paid for it, I should say.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's, for AEW, that's the next pay-per-view. But the next pay-per-view we will be doing predictions for, which is very, very soon. In fact, it's like a couple of days away, actually, we'll be doing predictions for this.
Yep, it's this weekend.
Yep. In a couple of days, we'll be doing another live stream, doing predictions for, not much quicker live stream for sure, will be at WWE Fastlane, which yeah, should be certainly interesting. I'm wondering if it's going to be another payback or if they're going to do some special stuff. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's I guess we will have to see.
WWE tend to be very limited is not the word to use, but they tend to hold back a bit on the B pay-per-views. They want their big shows to feel really special. And I think they probably are holding a lot in for like Crown Jewel and Survivor Series. I mean, Crown Jewel, to be fair, is a Saudi show, so maybe you wouldn't even count that. But I think Survivor Series will be the one to really talk about, especially given that it's in the Rosemont Horizon in Chicago. Man, if CM Punk is on that show, holy shit. That would be very newsworthy.
Oh yeah, it would.
Yeah. And I do think that at the moment, like NXT is doing really well, but I think the main shows are like they're kind of stuck in a rut a bit in some areas, and they need a bit of work. It probably doesn't help that the Bloodline's been off TV for the most part, at least as a storyline. But you know, I think once we get to Survivor Series, I think we'll really see what they're made of, because I think that's when you will see their actual plans come into place. So yeah, join us in a couple of days for the Fastlane predictions, and then probably a couple of days after that, whenever that is on the cards, we'll probably do the review for that show, maybe a bit later, because we have a bit more freedom with that one. Yeah. So yeah, and if anyone wonders why these are live and not edited, it's because I'm stockpiling the advent calendar for December, and I need as much time as possible to edit those videos as well as live my life. And that is why, yeah, these wrestling ones for the rest of the year are probably more so going to be live, because it just makes it a lot easier until we get to the new year. And once we get to, like, you know, Royal Rumble, I can actually put a bit more effort into the editing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so exciting times. Good show. Some great matches. Holy shit. And just a few words on Dynamite. That interaction between Edge and Christian on Dynamite was, whew, I was a big fan.
Yeah.
Big fan of that.
Very good stuff.
Christian Cage has been one of the best signings AEW's ever had.
Yeah, definitely.
The guy is a living legend.
Paid off this last couple of months.
And
really paid off these last couple of months.
It's amazing how our overrated and underrated videos have become so relevant with all the people we've talked about on those. But I'm really looking forward to seeing what Edge can do in AEW with a bit more creative freedom and a bit more sort of meat to chew on and more of a character. I already think he's shown a bit more in that one promo than he has in recent WWE stuff. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing what Edge can do in this environment, and if he can really like rejuvenate his character and not be, because I think you said in the overrated video there's something bland about his WWE run that hasn't been as great as you'd expect character-wise. And you mentioned something about like overacting.
Yeah.
But yeah, very much looking forward to seeing what Edge does as a character. He's going to be a full-time wrestler as well. That's amazing. That's awesome.
Yeah, it is.
And very much looking forward to seeing what match Edge has at Full Gear. You know, when we're seeing Edge, because obviously we're going to get TV matches, and that's cool. But seeing an Edge match on pay-per-view in AEW, I feel like we're really going to see what he's made of at this age. But yeah, exciting times. Anything you want to add before we wrap up this live stream?
I think that's pretty much all I have to say about the show. Very good stuff.
All right. We bid you adieu. a goodbye, and a good night. A bang.